Coworker demanded I be her man of honor. When I refused, she called me her token gay bestie and got fired after what we uncovered. This all went down just yesterday, and honestly, I'm still scratching my head over it. It was my first day back at work after a 2-week break, which might be relevant here. Right before I left, one of my coworkers, Claire, had gotten engaged. When she announced it at work, we all did the usual, clapped, smiled, gave the standard "congrats, so happy for you" kind of reactions. I assumed that was the end of it. As far as I knew when I went on vacation, there were no wedding plans in motion yet. So yesterday, I walked back in, and my boss Kim, along with my best friend and co-worker Laura, tell me that Claire had been asking around for me. I asked what she wanted, but they didn't know, just that she was carrying a little gift bag. A few minutes later, Claire found me. She asked how my vacation had gone, and while I started telling her, she abruptly cut me off. She said she had something really important to ask. Then she handed me the gift bag and asked if I would be her man of honor for her wedding. I thanked her and gently pointed out that traditionally, that role goes to someone with a close relationship, usually a female friend or relative. Claire just shrugged and said there was nothing traditional about her wedding, so it was all good. I looked over at Kim and Laura, who were both clearly trying not to burst out laughing. I congratulated Claire again and politely told her I didn't want to be part of her wedding party, and that I'd honestly rather just attend as a guest. I swear, the moment I said that, her whole expression changed. It was like someone flipped a switch. She started ranting, saying I had to be in her wedding and that she couldn't understand why I was turning her down. I calmly explained that we hadn't known each other long, and I wasn't interested in organizing dinners, parties, or shopping trips. Claire told me to think it over and said she'd follow up later. I told her she could, but my answer wasn't going to change. She stormed off, and I turned to Kim and Laura and asked, what in the actual creepy hell just happened? Kim cracked up and said she wasn't sure, but that turning Claire down might have saved me a whole lot of future stress. Laura chimed in, saying Claire just jumped straight into bridezilla mode and that I got a preview of what kind of nightmare her wedding planning was going to be. But today, Claire came back, this time with a different tactic. She handed me a printed list of everything she wanted me to do, spelling out her vision for the wedding and what she expected from her man of honor. I asked her why she was giving me this, and she responded like it was a done deal, saying those were my duties. I reminded her again that I wasn't interested. She started in again about how much she needed me and how fun it would be, then asked if I'd ever wanted to be part of something really special. I told her I already was. I'm a nurse. That's when Kim stepped in, sensing I needed backup, and told Claire that one of her patients needed her. After she walked off, I told Kim that if this keeps up, I might seriously need her help. She nodded and said she was already keeping an eye on the situation and would step in if it got worse. Honestly, I'm still wondering how I ended up in this. Claire and I aren't even close. She transferred to my unit just 6 months ago. I didn't even know her before then. Laura thinks maybe it's just that we're around the same age, and Claire sees that as enough of a connection. But did I miss something? Are we all supposed to just act over the moon when someone asks us to be in their wedding? Is no suddenly off limits? Some people have commented that Kim seems useless here, but I disagree. I trust Kim. I've gone to her before with work issues, and she's always had my back. She's just watching things play out for now, and if Claire keeps pushing, I know Kim will step in. Others have asked if this is some strange form of flirting. If it is, it's wildly off base. That's not gonna work on me. I like men, thanks very much, and I already have a boyfriend. LOL. Someone else pointed out that this might already be crossing into HR territory. Technically, it's not unless I file a complaint, but my boss has witnessed the whole thing so far and said she'll step in if Claire doesn't let up. Luckily, I'm off tomorrow, so I'll get a little break from all this. One theory is that Claire just wants to stand out. Maybe having a man of honor feels edgy and different to her. Another person suggested she might admire how organized I am and thinks I'd throw her amazing bridal events. Joke's on her, I might be good at managing work stuff, but wedding planning? Not my thing. I've never done it, and I don't want to. If I ever got married, it'd be something simple, probably just a few close friends on a beach under the moonlight, and a barbecue the next day. That's more my style. Update 1. Hey everyone, first off, I didn't expect this whole situation to blow up like it did. I've read through all your replies and tried to respond to as many as I could. Thank you all for your thoughts, humor, and support. I've been under the weather lately, and your comments really helped lift my spirits. Today I had to meet with my lawyer about some family matters, and Laura, my best friend and co-worker, was kind enough to drive me. I wasn't feeling well enough to be behind the wheel. On the way, we were talking about everything that's happened with Claire and asking a lot of the same questions you all were. One big thing we kept circling back to was the nature of her job transfer. She went from med-surg on the 4th floor to the ER, which is a pretty big leap. Tomorrow I'm back at work, and Laura and I are planning to talk to Kim about it and maybe bring up some other concerns too. After I got home from the lawyer's meeting, I pretty much passed out for the rest of the day. A lot of people have asked if Claire and I ever hang out outside of work. The answer's a firm no. I barely know anything about her. I've helped her a couple of times at work with patients or little tasks, but our relationship is strictly professional. That's why her request totally blindsided me. To be honest, I keep my social circle small, and I like it that way. I'm not a wedding kind of guy. After hearing so many horror stories about bridezillas and outrageous weddings, the whole concept is kind of a turn off to me. Spending tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, on one day full of stress and drama? No thanks. I'd rather use that money on a vacation or plan a relaxing trip. Some folks suggested I was just being used like some kind of token or prop in a wedding, or the stereotypical gay best friend. That hadn't even crossed my mind, but it's a fair point. I'm open and proud about who I am, but I'm not about to let someone pull me into their fantasy just to check a box or fulfill some kind of social image. That would actually offend me, and I don't get offended easily. I wasn't put on this earth to be anyone's accessory. Oh, and for the record, Claire does have a boyfriend. She's brought him around before, so that's not part of the mystery. If Claire's dealing with any insecurity, I really don't see where it's coming from. She's attractive, intelligent, and honestly pretty nosy, so I'm completely baffled by how she's been acting. A lot of folks keep telling me to go straight to HR, and I've officially started that process with Kim, my boss. She's fully aware of everything going on, she was actually there for most of it. Kim's told me she's monitoring the situation closely and will step in if it escalates, and I completely trust her. That said, while Kim and HR can manage things at work, there's only so much they can do outside of the hospital. If Claire were to, say, show up at my place or pull something in my personal life, they'd have limited control over that. I think that's pretty much the full picture right now. I wish I could say this whole mess was over, but I've got a feeling there's still more drama ahead. Stay tuned for updates. In response to a commenter, yeah, about my username, I get it a lot. People always tell me, you're not just an RN, and I know they mean well. There's definitely nothing just about nurses, male, female, whatever, we're the ones doing the real heavy lifting. And when the docs are too slammed to explain things properly, it's the nurses who actually answer the questions. My username is actually an inside joke that kind of stuck. Patients tell me I'm just a nurse all the time, sometimes I'll hear it 3 or 4 times a day. I don't take it personally. One day I repeated it in a joking way, and Kim called me out, saying, "You are not just a nurse." Honestly, I love what I do. My job is a huge part of who I am, it's tied to my identity. Someone else asked, what was even on that list of wedding duties? Did she seriously think you'd cave once she handed you a to-do list full of nonsense? My answer, oh yeah, she had me doing pretty much everything. Planning the bridal shower, organizing the bachelorette party, coordinating dress shopping and fittings, making sure everyone was having a good time, it was a whole mess. And that was just a sample. And for the record of that, what the ever-loving fresh creepy hell line. It's just something I've always said. I didn't get it from anywhere, it's just my own weird phrase. Mini update, I'll be posting a full update soon because things kind of blew up today. Just like many of you predicted, it finally came to a head. I need a little time to process it all, but I've also got a meeting scheduled on Monday with the hospital's director of nursing. I'm hoping that meeting will bring some real closure. Update 2, this intro's long, but it'll make sense soon. I was born into a family where I wasn't really seen as a person, I was more like a problem to solve. My parents wanted one kid, a daughter. That way, Dad would have his little girl and Mom could dote on her princess. Then I came along. I'm 23 now, so let's not pretend they didn't have options back then. But instead of making a different choice, they kept me and handed me off to a nanny while they raised my sister. That nanny, by the way, is still one of the most important people in my life. She did more for me than my own parents ever did, and I'll always be thankful for her. But looking back, I realized that being labeled the issue my whole life stripped me of something fundamental, it took away my sense of humanity and self-worth. Maybe that's why I've poured so much effort into building my career and creating a stable life for myself. I've been trying to rebuild what they took from me, to feel like a real person again, not just someone who needed to be dealt with. Anyway, back to Thursday, things with Claire finally blew up. Laura, my best friend and work sister, had been sticking close just in case Claire decided to stir things up again. I was really hoping it was over. I was feeling sick that morning, had a rough shift, and just wanted 5 minutes to grab a snack and breathe. But of course, Claire shows up with her ridiculous list and asks if we can talk wedding stuff. I looked her in the eye and told her straight up, again, that I'm not interested. I'm not helping. I don't want anything to do with her wedding. She needed to drop it and move on. But she just launched right back into her fantasy, talking about how much fun it would be and how I was going to love it. At that point, I finally asked the question I'd been holding back: why the ever-loving fresh creepy hell is it so important that I be your man of honor? I told her I didn't want to be, and I wasn't going to be. End of story. And just like many of you predicted, she wasn't looking for a friend. She was trying to use me like some kind of novelty act or accessory. She crammed every tired stereotype about gay men into one smug little sentence. Something along the lines of, what modern progressive woman doesn't have a fabulous gay bestie to show off at her big events? That hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt sick, literally nauseous. I barely made it to the bathroom. Laura was furious. She's got this protective big sister energy, and she was livid. She dragged Claire off to talk to Kim and laid out every word that had just been said. I wasn't part of that conversation, but later Kim and Laura filled me in. Kim came to check on me while I was still in the bathroom. She knocked on the door and asked if she could come in. I asked her to bring me some water first. While I waited, two things hit me hard. First, I realized exactly why I'd never liked Claire. I couldn't put my finger on it before, but now I knew. She reminded me of my sister. Not in the way they look or act, but in how they treat people. Claire's the kind of person who only sees others as tools to get what she wants. And if she wants something badly enough, she'll bulldoze right through anyone to get it. The second thing I realized? Claire had done exactly what my parents did to me. She dehumanized me, reduced me to a label, treated me like a plaything instead of a person. And just like my sister, she didn't think she'd done anything wrong. In her mind, I was the one being overly sensitive, the delicate snowflake. The very next day, our department held an emergency meeting. Claire's been suspended while HR investigates, and a transfer is being considered. Kim actually put in a request for Claire to be terminated. The director of emergency nursing said that firing her would be a last resort, but they are exploring options, including possibly moving her to a different hospital or facility. I wasn't thrilled with that response. I asked what would happen if she did the same thing to someone else. The director didn't really have an answer. Just said they're still looking into it and that for now, Claire's been pulled from duty. So here I am, still feeling sick and now dealing with all this on top of it. I've got work this weekend, but I'll do my best to reply if I can. Thanks again to everyone for the incredible support. I'm also planning to talk to my lawyer about sending Claire a cease and desist letter. I just want to make sure she's legally barred from trying to contact me ever again. That's it for tonight. I'm heading to bed. Stay safe out there. Update 3. Hey, everyone. First, I want to say sorry for disappearing for a bit. I've always tried to stay engaged with all of you, reply when I can, and keep the conversation going. But honestly, I just hit a wall. Between being sick, all the stuff going on with my family, and the insanity with Claire, I kind of shut down for a while. I just couldn't find the energy to keep up. But I want to say this, I read every single one of your comments. Every single one. And I can't thank you enough for the advice, support, and just the sheer kindness so many of you offered. You helped me feel seen, and that's not something I take lightly. I'm seriously grateful. So, here's where things stand now. I went back to my lawyer and explained everything that happened. I told him I didn't have Claire's address, only her name, and asked if he could use his resources to track her down and send a cease and desist letter to officially stop her from contacting me. He said he'd look into it. Now for the big news, Claire has been officially fired. I can't go into full detail, but I can say that what she did to me wasn't even the half of it. Once Kim started digging, a lot of serious issues came to light as stuff that could have put our entire hospital in a legal mess. Once the director of emergency nursing saw the full picture, she had no choice but to terminate Claire. In fact, some of what came out could even get the director herself in hot water. At this point, Kim, Laura, and I are even considering looking for new jobs. If this situation isn't addressed properly at the top, we may not have another choice. None of us want to leave, we'd be starting over with zero seniority and losing out on benefits, but if the system won't fix itself, we might be forced to make that call. Hopefully, it won't come to that. But we're bracing for the possibility. So, I think it's safe to say this chapter is finally closed, or at least, I really hope it is. I've got a life to live, and I'm ready to move on. I highly doubt Claire will be foolish enough to try contacting me again. She's already in deep enough trouble, and doing so would only make it worse for her. Once again, I'm sorry for not being able to respond to every single comment, but please know I read and appreciate all of them deeply. You've all made a huge difference in helping me get through this.